The Zealot Dominion had long considered themselves the final word in conquest. For over 2 millennia, they spread like a plague, system by system, empire by empire. Resistance was brief, brutal, and then forgotten. Planets burned. Civilizations erased. No archives were left behind, just ash and orbiting ruins. They called themselves the stewards of order, but there was no order in what they did, only domination. The Dominion stretched across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Their war councils operated from the iron throne world of Drexus Prime, built from the bones of fallen species that once claimed to be gods. Every ruler they faced surrendered, eventually. Those who didn't vanished under plasma storms. So when an unregistered mid-tier blue planet near the Orion spur pinged their long-range recon arrays, it raised no alarm. Earth, the humans called it. Their languages were fragmented, their transmissions primitive. The Dominion's automated intelligence described them as divided, low-tier, technologically erratic. No threat. A Dominion warlord named Vortek Run took the assignment personally. The humans had dared launch projectiles beyond their atmosphere. Their species had reached 1 moon. He decided to put an end to their illusions of expansion. His fleet departed with 30 dreadnoughts, 2 terraformers, and expectation of total compliance within a standard cycle. The first warning came near the edge of the Kuiper Belt. One of the Dominion scouts disappeared. No distress call, no debris, just silence. The others assumed mechanical failure. Sensors chalked it up to cosmic interference. Protocols weren't altered. The scout fleet entered the solar system through the plane of the ecliptic. Earth's satellites were primitive but numerous. Dominion AI initiated jamming procedures. Low orbit platforms blinked out, except they didn't just shut down. Some self-destructed in precisely targeted ways. Orbital debris tore through 2 Zealot vessels before their shields could engage. This anomaly reached command, but it was dismissed. Vortek Run laughed. Let them try. They're insects with slings. 3 days later, Zealot dropships entered Earth's stratosphere, targeting remote zones for initial deployment. Siberia, the Canadian tundra, parts of Greenland. Cold, desolate, and weakly defended. Their objective was to create staging zones without resistance. What they found was not empty land, but fields seeded with cold silence. Old bunkers had activated. Stealth drones swarmed. Machines without visible propulsion systems shredded the first drop teams. Zealot troopers fell, not to soldiers, but to environmental traps. Smart ice mines, robotic dogs camouflaged in snow, kinetic spears powered by supercapacitors. Weapons that didn't rely on energy signatures. Primitive, deadly. Vortek Run ordered escalation. Plasma rains. Surface cleansing. Burn the zones. The Earth answered with silence. Then the anomalies multiplied. 1 Dominion cruiser found its sensors jammed by what appeared to be classical music. It took 12 seconds for the cruiser's reactor to overload. Earth systems were not just unpredictable. They were playing a game the Zealot couldn't read. A ground team intercepted a human stronghold in a mountainous region, expecting biological opposition. They found an automated fortress manned by AIs, trained in asymmetric warfare. Entire caverns detonated in a chain, bringing down a mountain. No humans were captured. The Dominion had lost 12 ships, hundreds of soldiers, and no enemy had been seen face to face. Vortek Run issued a declaration. Full invasion. No more probing. No more containment. The swarm would fall. Cities would burn. He marked Earth as a death world. It was supposed to be an insult. By then, the humans had already moved. Submarine fleets that had not surfaced in decades emerged and launched sky-blackening payloads. Orbital defense stations powered by artificial singularities began pulsing across the upper thermosphere. A station hidden inside the moon's crust released a pulse that crippled Dominion long-range comms for 13 minutes, enough to confuse, scatter, and isolate entire wings. What was initially perceived as disorganization was later understood to be a design. Earth had studied war, not through empire, but through pain. Every battle, every invasion, every extinction-level near-miss had been archived, modeled, and turned into trap layers. The Dominion's second wave was decimated. Their ground insertion teams were neutralized by terrain itself. Forests turned out to be biomodified with dormant spores that targeted Xalith biology, fog that corroded armor, animals genetically normal, but trained to lead patrols into dead zones. And then a Dominion AI was captured. Earth did not interrogate it. They fed it data, history, footage, war crimes committed by the Xalith, extermination records, footage of the silent screams of glass planets. And then they let it go. Vortek Run viewed the broadcast on the command bridge of his dreadnought. The message was simple. We have been watching. You taught us well. Now learn from your mistakes. His laugh was nervous this time. The next 48 hours shattered the illusion of superiority. An orbital tether constructed near the equator released, crashing a space elevator into a fleet below. Micronukes erupted inside Xalith carriers, implanted via hijacked maintenance drones. One massive freighter turned out to be a hollowed-out missile casing. Its detonation cracked the ice of Europa. For the first time in Xalith records, Earth was labeled a tier-black threat, not because of their weapons, but their philosophy, decentralized resistance. No central authority to crush. Every human front operated independently, yet with eerie synchronicity. They were not defending Earth. They were testing the invaders. One Dominion tactician argued for retreat. He was removed from command. Meanwhile, strange signals began echoing across the system. Old Earth probes, Voyagers, long-abandoned radio frequencies, all of them reactivated, redirected, co-opted. One signal reached a forgotten station past Pluto, then rebounded. Something ancient answered. Not Earth, not Dominion. Something older. The Xalith grew quiet. Humanity did not. Next came the burning of the ocean floor trenches. The Xalith deployed fusion lances. What emerged were counteroffensives that had no source. Hundreds of drones rising from volcanic vents. Undersea fortresses waking. One Leviathan-class machine, nearly 8 kilometers long, rose from the Pacific. Not a myth, not a story, a relic. It destroyed 5 carriers before it was even identified. It never stopped transmitting. Defense protocol, endgame prime. The war wasn't about conquest anymore. It was about survival for the invaders. Word spread to neighboring systems. Refugees from other Xalith-conquered worlds began broadcasting signals. Hopeful, terrified, watching. And for the first time, the Galaxies saw a predator hesitate. The Dominion war machine had never known fear, not until Earth, not until this small, blue world turned every law of conquest into a lie. Now, above the shattered orbital lanes, where debris from destroyed dreadnoughts drifted like metal corpses, Vortek Run stood in silence. The stars seemed further away, and Earth, once a footnote, now loomed like a judgment. He had underestimated them. That much was clear. But what unsettled him more was how Earth had learned them. Not copied, not imitated. Learned, adapted. Each attack met a perfect counter. Each strategy fell into a response that suggested prior knowledge. Entire Dominion maneuvers were predicted, flanked before they began. This wasn't resistance. This was a calculated dismantling. Earth was not trying to survive. It was trying to study them as they fell apart. Vortex summoned his science cast. He demanded explanations. All he got were fragments. The humans possess no central governing authority, and yet their coordination is total. They are 10 steps ahead in some regions, and savages in others. They appear fractured, but functionally unified. One scholar risks stating the obvious. We are not at war with a nation. We are at war with an idea, one shaped by trauma, seated in extinction, sharpened over millennia. And the deeper they looked, the more disturbing the data became. Human culture was war-scarred. Their myths, their art, their history, littered with violence, tragedy, collapse, and always resurgence. No species had embraced conflict as a crucible quite like them. Vortek had led campaigns against species with weapons capable of shattering moons. He had crushed fleets that spanned light years. But none of them, not one, had prepared for humanity. He ordered an emergency data packet sent back to Drexus Prime. It never arrived. Earth's deep space mesh web had silently overtaken their quantum relays. Messages out of the solar system now played fragments of old Earth speeches, some motivational, some taunting, some incomprehensible. Then came the real horror. Earth wasn't acting alone. Across the stars, old Dominion territories began to stir. On planets the Zalith had crushed centuries ago, scattered survivors, hidden archives, dormant machines, all started coming online. Earth had shared something. Code? Hope? Weapons? No. Stories. The humans had broadcast memories, footage of Zalith atrocities, recordings of dying worlds. They'd weaponized truth. And those old stories now fueled rebellions. Silent planets flickered back to life. Resistance bloomed like wildfire. And still, Earth remained quiet. It did not send fleets. It did not claim territory. It did not boast. It waited. One Dominion dreadnought made it to Mars orbit. What they found wasn't a colony. It was a fortress. Underground weapons arrays, powered by geothermal reactors, began firing before the Zalith could identify targets. Precision strikes disabled the ship's control nodes without breaching the hull. Earth didn't want to destroy them. It wanted them to watch. Captured Zalith crew were released, intact, unharmed. But each carried neural data packs encoded with Earth's history. The knowledge passed like infection through the fleet. Once exposed, Zalith officers began hesitating. The human resistance wasn't just technological. It was psychological. Each failed invasion deepened the Dominion's cracks. Morale plummeted. Questions grew louder. Some began to wonder, what if Earth is not unique? What if it's the first? Then the black box incident occurred. A Dominion research vessel operating in Neptune's shadow detected a derelict satellite. Human in design, clearly ancient. They retrieved it. Inside was a data cube, black, silent, undecipherable. They brought it aboard. Within hours, systems failed. The lights flickered. Crew hallucinated voices, whispers in their own languages. Then the ship vanished. Weeks later, it reappeared, drifting, silent. The crew were gone. The ship's systems were rewritten in a code that pulsed like a heartbeat. One word scrolled endlessly across every monitor. Observe. The Dominion called for reinforcements. But nothing came. Back on Drexus Prime, rebellion had erupted. Entire sectors had risen in synchronized revolt, inspired by Earth's resistance. Military production centers shut down. Propaganda channels flooded with intercepted Earth broadcasts. Human philosophers were veteran comedians, even children. Speaking to the stars, they said things like, "We were born beneath bombs, raised by loss, trained by time. Empires fall, species rise. We do not fight because we hate you. We fight because we remember. The Dominions hold fractured faster than it could be restored." Vortek runs to the board his dreadnought and ordered one final push. If Earth would not yield, then he would rip its crust apart and scatter its ashes. His fleet descended through the thermosphere in formation, and Earth's sky tore open, not with fire, with precision. Dozens of stealth-kill satellites, once believed to be abandoned relics, activated. Lasers, kinetic rods, magnetic disruption fields, each focused on crippling, not killing. The humans didn't just aim to win. They aimed to humiliate. Zalith's ships spiraled out of control. Others went dark, co-opted by Earth AIs mid-flight. One dreadnought turned on its allies, its systems overridden by a virus named Prometheus. Created in 2023, perfected in silence. In under 10 minutes, the fleet was in disarray. Vortek's flagship remained, the only one untouched, until it wasn't. A human shuttle appeared alongside it, tiny, unarmed. They hailed him. No demand, no surrender request. Just one sentence, talk. Vortek refused. The shuttle didn't fire. It simply hovered, broadcasting a live feed of silence to every Dominion ship still in orbit. He became the face of failure. Vortek Run, the conqueror of 90 worlds, could not even speak. Earth let him flee. His ship limped away, chased not by missiles but by Earth's story, a story spreading faster than any weapon. Dominion forces across the galaxy began defecting. Some vanished into exile. Some sought Earth directly, not to conquer, but to learn. Others begged for peace. But Earth sent no ambassadors, no fleets, no diplomats. It sent a message. Your war is over. Our memory is forever. And in the silence that followed, species once broken began rising again. The galaxy shifted, and Earth, that fragile blue marble, stood at the center, not as an empire, but as a warning.